So, next attempt on trying to get something recorded that is good enough for the internet and Reddit. So, I just watched the documentation The Nightmare, and it is about sleep paralysis. And I wanted to talk about sleep paralysis now because I really felt inspired kind of from that movie or documentation. It's something in between, but really cool. So little shout out, when you have some time to spare, you can watch it. It's really good. I think from my personal standard, you can give it a try. That's no advertisement or anything. It's just my thoughts about that. A little disclaimer before I really get into it. I'm from Germany, so my English is not that good and on a well level as you might think it is or should be, but I try to get things down as good as I can. So, let's get started. First of all, a little bit about me. I'm really somebody who loves creepy things. I loved creepy things since I was a little kid, and I just love creepy pastas. I love movies, horror movies. I love like ritual things, even if I did one because I know they are not really working, but I like the idea behind them. And I do love psychological horror and all of this stuff. And this is why I knew around 2016, in the late 2016, I knew what sleep paralysis is. I came across the topic and I was informated about it. And in the end of 2016, actually at New Year, when my family was in the northern part of Italy in holiday, I had my first sleep paralysis. And what happened to me there was I was a little bit drunk and I forgot to close the window of my bedroom in the northern part of Italy. And it was really cold there because this is in the mountains actually. So it can get really cold. And two things that can cause a sleep paralysis are alcohol and coldness. These are just a few things of that. And also stress and all of this and really heavy tidiness and all of that stuff. So what happened to me there was I tried to fall asleep and then I feel this crippling all over my body, like a crippling sensation that was coming in waves. And I wasn't able to move at all and was like, oh, is this a sleep paralysis? Is it? Is it not? I don't know. And as far as it moved on going, I was like, yeah, that is a sleep paralysis. It comes really close to it because I wasn't able to move, but I didn't hallucinate it or see anything. I just wasn't able to move and feel this crippling sensation in my body. And that was the first encounter of having something like that. What I didn't do then to prove that this was not just a dream, when I had the control over my body back, I just grabbed my phone, typed in, you had sleep paralysis this night, put it back, tried to sleep again, and then the next day when I woke up, the message was still there, the memory I wrote down was still there. So I knew, okay, this was not a dream. And then I had some nightmares about sleep paralysis. Actually, I had two I can really think of right now. I'm just telling you this to let you know that I know the difference between a nightmare and the sleep paralysis, even if those things can get really close together in a strange way. Just to let you know, I know what the difference is, so that you don't think I'm telling you some shit that I just had nightmares and the sleep paralysis isn't true. You know what I mean. Because this video is for people who still have it, or yeah, who have it right now, and who needs help in any way, and I wanted to give you some tips. So I had two nightmares where I actually knew, okay, these are nightmares. There's nothing about sleep paralysis there. Because I was again waking up in my room, but my room was strange and there were standing my parents, but my parents were not my parents. They were not looking like my parents at all. But I knew these are my parents. But I was like, no, they're not my parents. They're not looking like them. So I knew it was a nightmare at this point. But never mind, this is not the interesting fact. The interesting fact is, I guess, the sleep paralysis. So the real sleep paralysis I had then, when I was actually thinking something is standing in my room, was maybe 2 or 3 months after the first encounter. It was like, oh, okay, 2 or 3 months after the first one, that means I just will have them barely. I hoped so. But after that one, after I had a real sleep paralysis, I had them every 2 or 3 weeks, sometimes every week once, but never 2 days in a row or something. It was not that crazy, but 1, 2 or 3 weeks at least I had one sleep paralysis. So in 2 years, there's actually a lot of sleep paralysis going on. And what I came across then, I was trying things out to pull me out of the sleep paralysis, because you don't want this thing that is right next to you or standing in your room, you don't want it to do something with you, even if it's just psychological, or I don't know if it's just hurting your mind or even your body. We don't know what sleep paralysis really is, but I didn't want that to happen. So I tried things out, and I was first of all trying out to think about another thing, another topic. And I thought about laying at the beach, and that calmed me down really, really, really much. And I felt that my body is coming back, and I was actually able to move. And like on a snap, this feeling just went, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm aware. This is fine. It's fine. And I mostly check the clock, like, okay, if the clock is now showing something strange, because it's mostly dark in my room, like for anybody when they're sleeping. When my phone is showing me something strange, I know it's a nightmare. So I mostly do that. I checked it, everything was fine, so I knew, okay, that was a sleep paralysis. So those are 2 steps I always do. Try to get out of it and checking if it's a nightmare or not, just for actually the reason to know if, yeah, what is the case. I mean, I'm just doing it because I'm interested in what actually happened to me right now, nightmare or sleep paralysis. And yeah, I kept this ongoing to a point where trying to think about something else did not help. And really interesting fact is, they now talked in the nightmare, in the documentation, about sleep paralysis changing over the time. A sleep paralysis can change over the time by reacting or being different to you. And that actually blew my mind, that other people have exact the same issue, that you tried to get out of your sleep paralysis, but it did not help anymore. I was like, oh fuck, what am I going to do now? What I tried then was moving. And moving is the most ambitious thing you can do while asleep paralysis, because that's the thing you can't do. So trying to think of it and trying to actually move really helped me out. And the next time I was like, okay, let's try talking. Maybe this is gonna help. But I was like, okay, do not be a jerk to whatever is in your room. You never know what is happening then. So do not say fuck off or whatever. And I do not recommend it to do that to anybody. What I was saying was no. In German, of course. Nein. You know what I mean? Like, I tried to say no. And this helped most effectively.